It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Finance Daily, episode 1879. Ethical Investing, When Doing Well and Doing Good Meet, by Andy Hill of marriagekidsandmoney.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Let's get right to today's post as we continue optimizing your life. Ethical Investing, When Doing Well and Doing Good Meet, by Andy Hill of marriagekidsandmoney.com. Every time we contribute to stock mutual funds in our 401k or IRA, we're investing in a little slice of the companies that are included in that fund. These can be tech companies like Apple or Microsoft, or automotive companies like General Motors or Ford. With each retirement contribution you make, you're essentially becoming a minority shareholder in these businesses. But what if you don't agree with the way things are being handled at one of these companies? Perhaps you care about a cleaner and greener future, and one of the companies you're investing in is a huge polluter. Or maybe you're appalled by the way factory employees are being treated globally at one of your businesses. Possibly there's evidence of racial or gender discrimination happening within the four walls of a company you own a piece of. How can we invest for our family's future and get the returns required to retire comfortably while still following our hearts? Welcome to the world of ethical investing. What is ethical investing? According to Investopedia, ethical investing or socially conscious investing is defined as, quote, the practice of using one's ethical principles as the primary filter for the selection of securities investing, end quote. For the everyday guy investing for his retirement, this means choosing to invest in companies that align with your values and your principles. As an example, if you don't want to invest in the tobacco, alcohol, or gambling industries, your investment choices can be adjusted and you would no longer be supporting those types of companies. Is ethical investing a thing right now? Socially conscious millennials are helping to push this value-focused investment movement forward. According to U.S. Trust, Bank of America's private wealth arm, quote, 76% of millennials said they consider their investment decisions to be a way to express their social, political, and environmental values. And 88% said that a company's impact in these areas is an important consideration when they make investment decisions, end quote. Since millennials make up around a quarter of the U.S. population, it's no wonder this wave of investing is on the rise. Fueled by a passion for a better world amongst all age groups, Bloomberg reports that this industry has seen major growth as of late. In 2016, sustainable investments that meet environmental, social, and corporate governance standards increased by more than $2 trillion in just 2 years. How do I find ethical companies to invest in? Major news media outlets are producing lists like the world's most ethical companies or top 10 investments you can feel good about. While these are great places to start, here are some organizations that have been focusing on ethical investing long before it was so popular. Calvert, started in the 1970s to bring about education and alternative investment options in opposition to the Vietnam War and the apartheid in South Africa. Calvert is a leader in responsible investing. FTSE for Good. This group specifically measures the performance of ethical companies. Companies like Vanguard use the FTSE for Good index as a benchmark for their socially conscious investors. Parnassus Investments. Parnassus is a provider of investment options that must meet strict environmental, social, and governance (ESG) criteria. Currently, they have 5 specific funds that make up their socially conscious portfolio. Will these socially conscious investments still provide a good return? In short, it depends on what you're socially conscious about. CNBC cites that after diving through years of Morningstar data, there is no significant performance drag in comparison to traditional investing with one caveat. Quote, funds designed to exclude stocks such as the sin sectors no tobacco, alcohol, and guns don't tend to measure up, end quote. If you're more focused on energy efficiency and other green applications that promote a cleaner planet, you may be in better shape. In late 2017, the Financial Times reported that the 4 indices developed by FTSE Russell, which focuses on companies with pollution reduction practices, have outperformed their benchmark, the FTSE Global All Cap Index. A greener planet can earn you more green, evidently. What's my take? I'm currently investing in traditional index funds that cover the broad US and international markets with no specificity towards my ethics or my socially conscious interests. This is not because I'm heartless or money hungry. It's because I wasn't aware this was even a thing until earlier this year. A friend of mine started a discussion around avoiding mutual funds that included gun manufacturers. The Parkland massacre in February was really emotionally impactful for her. While I personally have no issue with legal and responsible gun ownership, I did understand her position. As a father to 2 small kids, I felt very nervous sending my kids to school after that shooting. My friend felt passionately that she did not want to be responsible for any more school shootings in our country. That's her right and her money. She can do with it as she pleases. Our conversation became an interesting self-examination opportunity for me. I've recently started to ask myself some questions. What do I believe in? What do I stand for? Are my investments currently in line with those beliefs? And am I willing to decrease my retirement earnings for the greater good of the world? In the coming days, I'll be answering these questions because I want to ensure my investments are lining up with my beliefs, regardless of the return. I want to be a man that stands for something, not only with my words, but through my actions. And I know when our actions are supported by our money, the impact can be tenfold. You just listened to the post titled Ethical Investing, When Doing Well and Doing Good Meet by Andy Hill of MarriageKidsAndMoney.com. I can appreciate Andy's thoughts here on ethical investing. I'm in a similar position in that I see the value of investing this way in theory, yet I think there's much more to the story that needs to be thoroughly investigated before I'd make a change. For me, the purpose of investing is so that my money can make more money, and I've optimized and simplified that task as much as possible. While I also want to make a positive impact on the world, I'm more inclined to maximize returns from VTSAX, which is a total market index fund, and use my financial bandwidth to support causes I believe in. From what I've read about investing in socially responsible funds, there are a number of trade-offs to consider. These funds are actively managed for the most part, which equates to higher expense ratios and fees. For example, Vanguard's Social Index Fund, VFTAX, has a 0.14% expense ratio as compared to the 0.04% I'm getting with VTSAX. Also, what's considered socially responsible is highly subjective, and a lot of the popular socially responsible funds focus on simply excluding companies that are rooted in things like fossil fuels, weapons, etc. But their top holdings are still the same companies you'd see in a total market index with slightly different weights. For example, when you compare Vanguard's Social Index Fund, VFTAX, to Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, VOO, the holdings are nearly identical with slightly different weights and a much higher expense ratio for the social index. It reminds me a bit of the greenwashing phenomenon, where consumers are lulled into buying something that they think is better for the environment, but it's actually just good marketing. I'm sure there are legit socially responsible funds out there, so I just encourage anyone interested in investing this way to research it thoroughly before you make a move. That'll do it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back for tomorrow's show, where your optimal life awaits.